Welcome to my aunt's workshop. I am Reese Robinson. You are going to need burnt sienna as your background color. You are also going to need yellow, blue, another blue, and white. My Aunt Katie's favorite brush is the filbert brush.
Hey guys, so y'all just met my amazing niece Reese, and she is my helper today while I am doing this voice overlay on my sped up live video.
So take your burnt sienna color and start on your outline. Now that we have a line dividing the water and the sand, we can add the birds.
So right now I'm pointing out the basic shape that the birds are making. We want to simplify everything to make it easier on ourselves. So for the bird's body, it's a simple teardrop shape, and then for the bird's head, it's a simple circle. So now that I have my basic shapes that I'm working on, I want to make the birds look in different directions, look up and look down, so this just helps make it look more realistic.
Now that we have a rough outline, we can start going in with our blue for the water.
So right now I'm just mixing up a lighter blue color for the water, and I want to keep everything light and airy for this painting. So I'm taking a lot of white and mixing it with a couple different blues that I have. I have a green blue and then I have a pure blue color. And so just whatever blues that you have, lighten it up with the white and kind of make areas darker, make areas lighter. And this will just help make the image look a little bit more realistic by adding those values and giving it contrast in the water. And speaking of contrast, I am mixing up a little bit of a darker blue now. So I am mixing up a little bit of the pure blue and the green blue, and I am just putting in darker areas. And then I'm going to take white and go ahead and start putting in the water rushing into the shoreline. So adding some waves and adding that contrast.
So whenever you put in the waves, you want to make some C shapes and S shapes.
So while working on the water, we want it to be really organic and just free. So whenever you go with your brush strokes, try not to be really tight with it and just be really loose with it and have fun with those waves.
So now we are going to start on the sand. We need to take some of our yellow and mix it with our white to make the sand color.
So if I have a color in one spot on my canvas, I want to put it in another spot. This will help my eye move around the picture plane. So I'm going to take some of the sand color and put that into the water. So you can always see that there is sand underneath the water whenever it's coming to the shore. So I'm just adding some of those colors in the water while I'm working on the sand. And just like with the water, we want to add contrast to the sand. So I'm adding darker yellows and lighter yellows to the sand so we can add that contrast and give it value.
We also never want to divide our picture plane in half, so we have the sand just below the halfway point.
Now I'm just going to go in with a little bit more white and kind of refine my waves and the waves hitting the sand. So I'm just adding a little bit more color in the water and on the shoreline.
So now we want to add in our birds. We are going to take some white to block in the shapes.
So just like whenever I was adding in my water and my sand, I didn't want to divide my picture plane in half. The same goes whenever I add the birds in. I don't want to put a bird directly in the middle because that will just divide the picture plane in half, and we don't want that. We want our eye to move around the picture plane in a smooth and cohesive way.
Now we want to mix up a dark blue for the birds' bodies. You will need to mix your darkest blue with your burnt sienna to get this color.
So now that we have our basic shapes back into our painting, we are going to start going in with the legs. And so the legs are pretty simple. They do have a little joint. So whenever you put in the legs, make it look like they are walking in the direction they are moving towards. So just put those little lines in with your darkest blue, and then you're also going to want to add some shadows to the sand color. So have some blues mixed in with the sand color to add that shadow underneath each bird. I'm also going to go ahead and add my darkest blue to create the beaks and the eyes on the birds. While I have that dark blue on my paintbrush, I also want to add some shadows to the birds themselves. So we want lights and darks on the bird to show where the light is coming from.
Now that the birds are pretty much done, the last thing we want to do is add the dots to the birds' bodies. This helps it look like the bird's feathers.
So the very last thing we want to do now is add a shadow underneath the waves. So I'm going to take that dark blue that I have been using, and I'm going to just add in those darks to the waves. And after that, you're pretty much done. So thanks for joining us. Bye!